Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special hour I have with Kelly Brickle. Am I saying that right? Brickle?
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Kelly has a lot of experience, you guys. So, give her a big welcome. She's a Reiki master, numerologist, psychic medium. She's an NLP practitioner. She's co-authored two books. Let's see, one of them is called uh, Natural and Organic Healing, and the Kindness. Oh my gosh, I can't read my writing now. What kindness?
Kindness Crusader.
Oh yes, Kindness Crusader. So you have a lot of experience. Plus, you are now brand new, I think, new host of the Psychic Hour
Yeah,
radio show on Wednesdays.
yes.
So, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you. You made me look really fantastic with just like running this list off everything you've ever done. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, you're welcome. We have Valerie and we have Modi live. We have False Teeth, Real Tarot, and Edith and Colleen and Kelly. I think I said Kelly. So, welcome you guys, Gina, Beth, Alphanumeric One, Kathy, Mama Bear, Juno. Hey, Juno, Pierrette, Gina H. Okay, you guys, thank you all for being here. Um, and
So
there's
many
Sean.
people. It's great.
Yeah, and Sean as well. Um, we
Hi,
have yeah,
Marianne.
yeah. And now, so at the what we're planning to do, I'm going to talk to Kelly for a little bit. Then we're going to open up for hi Jasmine. We're going to open up for some numerology questions or psychic questions, and we'll just see how it goes, you guys. Okay. Hi Antoinette. So, um, of course, I have a lot of questions, Kelly, because my mom was a numerologist. so,
That's so
so
cool.
it was a long time ago. But I would like to know from you, Kelly, like how did you get started in numerology? How did you study it? And
That's a great question. So going back to when I was a teenager, I was really interested in learning about energy, spirit, sensitivity, and really I came from a philosophical place, first of all. I wanted to learn if this all was real. I didn't really have any role models around me that guided me in metaphysics, and I came from a very like practical family background, even though there's people in my family who did have interest and did do this work that I didn't know until later. So yeah, the only kind of exposure I had to, I guess, people doing this type of work would have been on TV or through a book, right?
hmm
And or maybe if I stumbled my way onto a conference and I saw people speaking, and I was like, oh, okay, that's one way, that people express themselves in this energy reading industry or this energy sensing industry. So I didn't have a lot of exposure. I found it through the internet when I was a teenager because I was actually
oh,
researching astrology. Okay.
okay,
So I had skepticism in astrology. So here I am like as like a 16-year-old. And I'm just like, okay, like I do believe that you can sense energy, and I'm learning about how to understand what's real and how to debunk what's not. Like I had a
hmm
very um open-minded but skeptical approach. Does that make sense? So I
sure,
actually, yeah, I wanted to come and was inspired to come into this work to search for truth. I'm like, if this is real, or if there's certain modalities around tapping into energy and tapping into spirit that are real, my goodness, I want to find out what they are and how they work. I don't have
yeah,
to become an expert in them, but I'm very curious, right? And if they're not, I kind of want to be an advocate for saying like, oh, that's BS. But that's where I started because it was all like in the name of truth, honestly. So I
yeah,
would like research different systems. And unfortunately, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of clear information on the internet. So it's like you had to do a
hmm
lot of sifting and comparing and cross examining. This sounds very technical, but it kind of was in the beginning, at least like
sure,
for me. So I just kind of patchworked together pieces of information that I found. And with astrology, for me, I didn't find enough ahas when I first started. Now I'm a complete believer in astrology. I know quite a bit about it. I'm not an expert in astrology, but something I believe in. But back in the day when I first started, astrology wasn't the modality that opened me up. It was
Mhm.
numerology. I started seeing
Oh,
so many correlations with people's numbers and life paths, and I could reach church people very easily because you take the person's birth date, you take the person's name. And so I would take a lot of people that were public, whether it would be politicians or it would be actors or actresses, or, some people just putting themselves out there so you could be observant of their personality, and did they act like this, or were they doing this type of job, because certain numbers
yeah,
dictate and highlight what they will be most likely to have as a career, how
yeah,
they will approach another person, how they will reflect and represent themselves. So I had a way to really study it and go, okay, I think there's something here. And it
yeah,
made me really, really excited because it was one of the first things I actually could dive into, because I didn't have really teachers around me. I kind of was just like, let me just go at this at my own, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm very interested in all this. And numerology was really the place that I started, beyond really just being personally, guided by the fact that spirit was real and that I was having experiences. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So it was just your way in to spirit, sounds like. It was your way in. And I have seen you do readings before on Facebook Live, and you're just really, that's why I wanted to have you, because really you're special, and I feel like you really are connected with the numbers. So thank you for sharing your gift with us today. That's wonderful. What do you think about using numerology? I mean, there's so many things we can use numerology for.
Oh my
Like,
God.
for
Yeah.
instance, buying a house, um, love life, maybe how do you get along with your kids, or all these sorts of things. Even okay, but well, I guess we can start with that. I've got a lot of questions.
I'm glad. No, this is
and,
great.
and also one other thing, if somebody wanted to study numerology, where would you lead them?
Sure. If Okay, so I guess we'll start with that. Where would somebody study numerology? I always am a huge advocate of the numerologist Glynis McCants. You might have heard of her. She's on a lot of major platforms. She's really a pioneer for this work. She does Pythagorean numerology. There's different systems of numerology. There's just different types of numerology. Um, I don't even know all the types, but I'm familiar with a handful. There's really a lot of different ways to break down the numbers, and it just comes back to what's the most accurate for you personally and how you tap into the numbers. And so she does Pythagorean numerology, and when I was starting out, I did Pythagorean numerology too. And I kind of, like I said, was patching things together. What I learned, I did like a lot of personal self reflection. And when I came across Glynis McCants, she did things actually the same way I did. And I hadn't found her as a starting influence. She heavily influenced the way that I did things as I went forward within my numerology, you bet. So, I consider myself just a self-taught student of hers in a lot of ways. But yeah, Glynis McCants is crazy accurate, crazy talented. I highly recommend her, and her channels are just devoted to numerology, so you learn so
Uh-huh.
much. She
Uh-huh.
does live
Okay,
readings
good.
too. Yeah.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And I know there's probably books out there. I'll just show you one little book that I
Yeah.
have that I know you haven't read. This is the non-professional numerology book that I
Oh,
think
it
I
sounds
think
good.
is good. The Life You Were Born to Live
Oh,
by
awesome.
Dan
Yeah.
by Dan Millman. And anyway, that's all I know about numerology right in here, and I don't even
No, it's
so
okay.
it's not very much.
I would love to check that book out. In fact, I wasn't familiar that, like I told you prior, that Dan Millman had a passion for numerology. Sometimes you only see pieces of people, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
people see me and they don't know that I even do numerology. So I can completely understand. I'm actually quite curious. I would love to read his book.
Yeah, and you have other talents too, NLP, Reiki master, psychic medium. So you have a lot of talents. Well, anyway,
I'm just a
okay.
very curious person, and I like to go, well, this helped me reach this goal. I should probably do that. Does that make sense? That's why you, that's why I have quite a lot.
Yes, yes. I was going to say, yeah, you're a spiritual seeker, right? In so many
Oh, yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I was going to go into your colors, but I'm not going to go into your colors right now. Let's continue with the
You
numerology.
can go to any type of colors you want. I have colors behind me. But yeah. Hey, if you ever want to talk about colors, that's exciting. You know, you've
Next
perked my
time,
interest.
maybe we can do that next time. Okay.
We can both do it if you want. That'd be cool.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, so what about, and by the way, there's people that are here chatting and stuff like that. Um, somebody, okay. I'm just looking at anything here. Thank you guys for being here, by the way. Thank you again for being here. This is such a wonderful community, Kelly,
It
that
really
that
is.
comes into here. They're so supportive of each other, and this is our community where we can just say anything and not be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I
I
don't
love
mean
it.
weird, but we understand each other here.
I
Okay.
was called weird a lot growing up, and actually I was lucky because that was a compliment. So I'm okay with the word weird.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what do you think about buying a house? When you're buying a house, there's the name of the street, there's the number of the house. What would you look at if
Oh, for
you're,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So with numerology, everything comes back to your chart. Same with astrology. Everything comes back to your chart. And with astrology, I'm just kind of mirror the two for a second. Um, Most people know their sun sign. You know, they say I'm a Leo or I'm an Aries, but they don't necessarily know their moon sign or their ascent sign. They don't know other things like their midheaven or their south node or their north node, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's really what numerology is. It's kind of learning your major numbers. And then there's so much more that complements that. And there's other calculations that really fill out and make your chart rich with understanding and where you'll go and what you'll do and kind of who you are as a person. So people's sun sign are like their life path number. Your life path number in numerology is really your most important number. It doesn't highlight personality really so much, but it highlights what you will do with your life and where you'll keep finding yourself being led and pulled to your interests and your passions. So very important. You have to look at just the basic numbers of your chart to start to understand, okay, what are my lucky numbers per se, or what vibrations am I really going to seek and understand in the world that really match and mirror mine and help build me and lift me up. So you have to look at least in my number system that I use, Pythagorean numerology, you have to look at your core 6 numbers. So you have a bunch of other numbers in your chart, right? But you have to look at your core 6. And sometimes, like a quick way to do that is just to take your birth date and break that down, and you'll receive 3 of your core 6 from your birthday, and you receive
Oh,
your other 3 from your name. And that's the
oh,
name you go by within the world currently as you are now, because that's the vibration
oh,
that you use. So you will derive those 6 numbers from your birth date and your name, and you'll go, okay, these are my numbers. And you will look for houses or even phone numbers or even the way that your business is spelled. If it breaks down to a number harmonious with your chart within those 6 numbers, that's what you want to be going for.
wow. I had no idea we had six numbers.
Yeah, there's 6 core numbers in Pythagorean numerology. Different types of numerology work with different number clusters that they hone and focus on. But in the one that I use, yep, it's all about those 6. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. That's way more complicated than I thought.
It's very I think astrology can be crazy with its like geometric shapes, right? You know, it's like uh is something squared? Is it sextiled? You know, it can
Okay.
get really nuts. Numerology
Yeah.
can get quite nuts too. But it's like kind of like compounded. It's like, how does this connect to
Okay.
this? And then you'll take this and you'll take, and you just can
Yeah.
keep adding and you can keep learning about yourself. But yeah, it can be very complicated. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that kind of know we're I'm just thinking, how the tree of life, right? And that beautiful, there's got to be it's a number system there, isn't it? Or is it a sound vibration? Maybe it's both.
You're right. So like I don't use Kabbalic numerology, but Kabbalic numerology gravitates completely around the concept of the tree of life.
Oh, didn't know
Yeah,
that. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. I was watching a show last night on Gaia, and they were talking about how sound, like those Kabbalahs, I guess, is it Tibetan? That those are really more like sound vibrations on paper. That
Ah,
reminds me, I don't know if that's the tree of life. I don't know.
no, I like that. Hey, it makes sense. I mean, are you familiar with like the term if someone has synesthesia?
Uh-huh.
Like, so that means they can, let's say if they're eating something, they can feel something at the
Yeah.
same time. Or if
Yeah.
someone gives them a number, they can taste the number or hear the
Yeah.
number, right? So
Yeah.
it's vibration, and people receive energy in different ways. So why wouldn't you be able to hear a number too? And why wouldn't it have a certain, maybe even hertz frequency? I absolutely, believe in
Yes.
that.
Absolutely. Just like the body, sometimes you can hear the chakras. I used to hear the chakras on the body when I was
Wow.
doing energy work.
Wow, that's really cool. I've never been able to experience hearing the chakras. That's
I would just get down real
incredible.
close, like, oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, it's just amazing because everything is a vibration. So numbers are a vibration, though we are a vibration. What about when you have two vibrations of two different people? You've got their numbers.
Yeah.
And I remember reading somewhere fours and sevens go together, as a couple. Do you know what about that?
So like fours and sevens, so gosh, we'd have to kind of like break down a lot of steps, but so I'll try not to get too technical per se. So when you are, at least in my system, the Pythagorean system of numerology, you take people's core six numbers and then you
Uh-huh.
pair them with another person's core six numbers, whether it's a romantic relationship, a family member, or even a boss. You want to learn, am I going to be compatible? What am I going to deal with this vibrational exchange, right? Are we in harmony, or is it a challenge, right? So you line up the six numbers with one another and you see what is harmonious in the placements that each number lands in. And also, there's certain number clusters that go with one another. So, like 1, 5, 7 goes with each other, 2, 4, 8, 3, 6, 9. And so, in numerology with vibrations, there's great vibrations, there's good vibrations. I'm going to have to explain that a little bit, but for just bear with me for 2 seconds. So there's great, good, and then there's a challenge. And so great is like you operate from the same harmonious frequency. Like for instance, 3, 6s, and 9s, they're very creative people. They're very extroverted most often. They are stimulated by people. They like helping people. They need to be around people. Like 1, 5s, and 7s, for instance, some of them need to be around people, don't get me wrong, but they live in their imagination. They live in their mind. They're very mentally stimulated people. So, they operate from different wants, desires, and different perspectives, right? So you can have miscommunication. That's like kind of the heart of all of it. Are you able to communicate freely, or do you have miscommunication? And that miscommunication creates so many challenges, which creates, unfortunately, fights and chaos and people not working easily with one another, and that's where the challenge comes from. So, for instance, you asked about 4 and 7. So, fours and sevens are in the good like category. They
Oh, I see.
are harmonious numbers, but they don't operate per se from the most similar frequency. Sevens and fours are both very cerebral people. They seek knowledge. Seven is the number of wisdom, and four is the number of acquiring information. So fours are natural teachers, and sevens are natural analysts or philosophers. So
Oh,
they work differently within their vibration, but they are very knowledge seeking people and they are very cerebral people. So actually, they would do quite well together.
oh, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yes, they do go along with each other. There's different clusters that kind of showcase why that is so more than others, like within the number system. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I'm learning so much, Kelly. Thank you. Uh, Thank you, really. Whew. And I see Ron's
Absolutely.
here, Holly's here, Gina's here. I just
Hello,
want to say
Ron.
hi.
The one
Yeah.
thing I will say too, so like with a 4 and a 7, the reason why they aren't in the same energy cluster of like, whoa, like we operate from the same exact frequency, even though they are so cerebral and interested and always researching, that a 7 has the capacity to go, 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 absorb, absorb, absorb. And they can go at actually quite a quick pace and they live in
Yeah.
that mental realm. A 4 needs to go at a slower pace and really honor their body. And they're
Yeah.
all about consistency, practicality, and
Yeah.
structure. And
Yeah.
sevens don't need the structure. They actually are one of the numbers to most likely leave their body because they are so mental. So do you
I
understand?
see.
It's like a 7 can just kind of exist outside their body. A 4 actually has to take care of their body because they need routine. They adhere to time. They adhere to structure. They will break. They will unravel if they don't keep up with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I mean, oh, the reason, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to tell you, but personally, I was in a marriage, and I'm a 7 and he's a 4, so that's that's not why I asked, but I remember thinking, somebody was like, "Oh, no, you're supposed to have a 4 for a relationship." I'm like, "Well, no, that didn't work out."
Well, yeah, you'd have to, see kind of maybe, for instance, there's only one 4 in your chart, right? Or you could have had four
Oh.
fours in your chart. So how influential is that 4? We look at that too. And in what
Oh,
placement is that 4? Because
okay.
actually it might not be very influential or it's incredibly influential.
Yeah, yeah. Are you teaching numerology?
Yeah, I am teaching numerology. I have to get my head straight sometimes because, I try to really showcase like psychic development. And in the past, I did do some other courses. So I am trying to teach more numerology again. But absolutely, yeah, I have been teaching it for the past like 6 years. Yes.
Okay, okay, so that's good to know, so if everybody wants I'll put your information in later, but I just wanna, people are saying Ron's a life 4. We have Jane who's a 5. Uh,
Awesome.
let me see. Um, oh my goodness, what else I want to ask you? So as far as buying a home, like I always look at just the house number. I'm in a 121, which is a 4. My current home. I mean, I'm only looking at the number on the house, and
Yeah.
so um, do I need to look at the name, I mean, the street name and the city name too, or just that one number if you're buying
Um,
a house?
you can get really technical, but I would say the number of your house is very helpful. I would focus on that because it's like where you're living, where your energy is going to be most relevant. We live in a city, but we live in a piece of the city, right? And
Mhm,
our
mhm.
address is kind of like, this is my space. So it is important to choose an address that is harmonious with your space. If you're only going to be there for a short amount of time, again, you can bite the bullet sometimes if you just like the area, if you like your house. But if you're going to be there long term, I really highly, highly recommend finding, one that is a similar number within your chart.
Uh-huh.
And like, for instance, when you look at someone's chart and you see their multiple numbers, they're going to have certain numbers that work well with one another. Okay. So it's like, you don't have to, let's say, if you were life path 4, you don't need to have a 4 house, but you need to have numbers that are harmonious with a 4. So that would be 2 and 8. And also, I'd have to like weigh in the rest of your chart. What are the numbers that are most favorable that honor your whole chart?
Uh-huh.
That honors
Okay.
all of you. Does that make
I
sense? And then
see.
if you're
Yes.
living with somebody, you have to take the other person's chart too into the mix
Yeah.
and say, what numbers do we share in common and what clusters are harmonious for both of us?
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. That could really go into some details there.
It is. Like, so I'm married and my husband and I do have different numbers, I would say. Where in certain placements sometimes we're opposite, in other placements we are similar, but we don't definitely don't have the same numbers. But I know certain numbers that are in common. Like, for instance, like, he's a life path 7, I'm a life path 2, but 4 is a great commonality number because the 4 goes with my 2 and the 4 goes with his 7,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, 4 and 7s work together. It's easier for a 4 and 2 to work together per se, but we kind of have to go, okay, what number goes in the good category? Maybe we can't find the great, but what satisfies the good, because we don't want the challenge numbers. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. Yep. Okay. Okay. I have a question that actually came through a chat. We've got some other questions here that people are asking. Um, uh, one question that one of my friends was asking is your when you have your birthday and you add those numbers up or whatever, and then um, does it start the like January, or does it start on your birthday? Like if my birthday's in July, does my new birth number for this year start January or July?
Great question. That is definitely a debated topic. I think most people would say it starts right on the new year because and over the years, I do feel like that is the case. So I'm going to talk about both. Um, if you were just to ask somebody, like, well, what's the rule? The rule is it starts January 1st. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's the
Okay.
rule. But we'll talk about why the birthday is so important in a second. Um,
Okay.
the reason why it does have that weight, that January 1st, beginning of the year, is because we are, yes, acting in accordance to our birthday, our charts, but we're also heavily influenced by world energy. And,
Mm,
we are living in the world.
yeah.
So, how the world supports us in our chart, it's all correlated. So, we have to honor when the new year starts. And when the new year starts, it does enact, our cycles, and that's movement and flow and the natural way that energy moves throughout our life. So it is a system and it's a cycle. It's not held up for our birthday. When our birthday does hit, the energy and the numbers I feel and I observe within others, they really ramp up.
Yeah.
So if you're like, gosh, I'm in like a 2 year, when am I going to find a friend or love, or gosh, I'm not really having the lessons that I expected to have. When your birthday hits, like, it's all there. It's just a matter of kind of like when. It's like it's gonna happen next month, probably. It's gonna happen in the next 2 months because you're smack dab in the energy. So it's like it is very influential. It's much more intense. What those numbers mean for you on that year when your birthday hits.
Oh, yes. And reminds me of another question is, let's say if you're born number one, and every 9 years, you become a one again. Now, that one is more power. Isn't that going to be more powerful, or or does that matter? You know, when you repeat that to that one again, like your life purpose.
It's very powerful. So, we go through cycles, and when we hit the end of our cycle, which is a 9, so the 1 is the beginning, the resurgence of the next cycle. The 9, we're letting go of like baggage that we've acquired or patterns that we couldn't have let go. So like think about anything that you've, you know, have pursued in your life and you're like, I just am not able to do it. Whatever I do, it's just like it's so difficult. Or even regarding friends or family, you're like, I just want to have rest with how we fight and how, this issue just, lingers on and lingers on. A lot of that stuff is healed and let go of in the 9 and the 1 cycle, because you're starting new, you're starting fresh, your energy just releases. And sometimes it takes multiple cycles for that to happen. So you'll have the release like, 40 years into the future, but you'll land on a 1 cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some takes 10 years to release. I hope that makes sense. So the 9s and the 1s are actually quite powerful because you're shedding old skin and you are coming into, a renewed sense of purpose and a stronger identity of who you are with greater confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They're very powerful. Now, you talked about 1 specifically. If someone is a life path 1, and they're in a 1 cycle, there's going to be more that gets done because 1 is such an important number for them. They are stepping into their life path fully. They are stepping into their, who they are. They're probably going to have more success in their career, or they're really going to know what they want to do within their life. That gets activated because they have that 1 energy in their life path. So your cycle numbers and how they correlate with your life paths are very important additionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And here's another question I have, and then maybe we should go on to uh, people in the chat's questions. But um,
Sure, yeah.
and because I think it changed when we hit the year 2000, because in the 1900s, let's say if somebody was born in 1945, for instance, and then when they hit 1945, and they hit 1954, so they'd have
Okay.
the same numbers again, right? The same exact numbers when they were born, except, I mean, the 5 and the 4 are reversed. Would that
Yeah.
be a more powerful time? Do you know what I mean?
Would that be a more powerful time? So give me a little bit more on that because I'm just trying to make
Okay.
sure they are the
I,
same numbers. They are the same
okay.
numbers.
Okay. So I'll just give you my example for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't tell everybody how old I am, but I was born in 1959. And then in 1995 was like a big spiritual awakening for me. I mean, and
Oh,
so it's like, okay, I felt like, okay, so that's my life. I mean, that's when my life felt like it was going more on purpose of my soul purpose. Does that make sense? I mean, I probably was just lost before then.
sure, sure. So that means so you're gonna be in the same like life path year that you were born
Huh.
into. And so anytime a year hits as the same as our life path year, it is a weighty year.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
waiting.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a year. Anytime there is a year that correlates with our life path, it's going to be all about like career and, back to authenticity of self and getting back on track.
I see. I
Yeah.
see.
So,
Okay. Cool.
so common numbers are like, yep, that's you. Does that make sense? It's like those numbers are you and they are enacting. So it's going to be one hell of a year.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you for explaining that. But I thought it
Absolutely.
changed. When we went to 2000, we don't have the same numbers anymore for the people who were born in the 1900s. Then you know what I mean? The numbers are different. I maybe it doesn't matter, but I just noticed that.
It's all kind of like it's all an exchange of numbers, right? It's all just like all the so like 1 through 9 is constantly all around us. It's just a matter of what placement it lands in. And
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. 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 Thank you. And I want to make sure your website is Energetic Sessions, right?
energeticsessions.com.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I'm
this is
gonna put that on. I'm gonna
this
post
is
it just because people are asking about it. I
sure,
think I
yeah.
can post it. There we go.
I
I
was just
put it on
gonna
the. Oh, I put it in the chat.
hey, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, energeticsessions.com. I was gonna say you kind of got me like thinking something, I'm like, oh, it's irrelevant. But recently I bought like kellybrickle.com. Finally, I'm like, I'm going to
Oh,
merge the two. So one day I'm going to just say kellybrickle.com.
oh, yeah.
But
Well,
and I've had energeticsessions.com for a long time. So that is the place that people find me. You can find me on various platforms. As long as it's for business, I reach out. Yep, happy
okay.
to help.
Now, there are, I would love to see people. Are you okay if people ask questions?
Oh yeah,
Or
absolutely.
if they have any, I'm looking for, I'm going up through here. There was one I know or two. Um, three, they're talking about three. It's also power and power. You want to talk about the number three? There's a
Sure.
comments about three.
Okay, so let me just see. What is that? Which? Let's see.
Oh,
I'm
I
just
mean,
finding.
no, it's just three is a good number for communication. It's not, I mean, it's just, that's what I see here.
Oh, you pulled it up. Now I understand. I was like, oh, where's the question? I see it now. I was looking in the wrong spot. Okay, three is a good number for communication. Yeah, absolutely. Three is the number of communication. And actually, three times three is nine. So when you have people with a lot of nines, they have like um, a talent actually for like genius and high creativity because their three is tripled. So they can be eccentric though.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
three is the number of communication, lightheartedness. It's the number of comedy. It's the number of creativity. Um, yeah, I could go on and on.
Okay. Okay. And then Sleuth Jill is just saying 11, 22, and 33 are master numbers. Do you want to just mention that?
Sure. So, like, master numbers are when we have repeating numbers, and it's considered to be like built up energy. And that's why it's considered more of a focus to put on in someone's chart. They're not just a one, they're a 1, 1. They're not just a two, they're, excuse me, they're not just a four, they're a 2, 2. So, if someone's, let's say, an 11, okay, first of all, I'm going to say, to help everyone, everything in numerology is reduced to 1 through 9. Okay. So even master numbers are reduced to 1 through 9. When someone is an 11, they are, and let's say we're talking about a life path, right? If they're a life path 11, they are still a life path 2, but they have the indication of 11. And so when someone has an indication of a repeating number, that's the only time additionally you'll pay attention and go, okay, I have to talk about this additionally, because the repeating number of the 2, the 1, 1, showcases more responsibility, showcases that they will have, you know, an urge within their life to help others, to be more responsible for others, to take on a little bit more weight than your average person. It depends
Uh,
on the placement, of course, but we're talking about life path, so that's an indication of that.
yeah. Now it looks like a lot of people in chat already know how to get to their life path, but I'm just gonna like we have a five coming up here, false teeth tarot and
False teeth
Juno, I
tarot,
guess
real
are
what a great name.
I know.
False teeth, real tarot. That's great.
Yeah. So there are fives. They're talking about being a five. And they're,
Yeah,
yeah,
so a five is all
or
about
Jane. Yeah.
freedom and variety, and so five people are quick. Five people, they want to get things done faster than the average person. They're quite intelligent because they're always absorbing. They're always learning from doing. They don't learn from being handed a book. Not to say that they don't like books, it's just that's not what makes them thrive. They are stimulated by travel, they are stimulated by just being in the moment, and they are more likely to be extroverted because of that. So they need to be kept busy. And also, when you see a lot of fives in someone's chart or within their life path, they're probably going to have multiple jobs. Some people are like,
Mhm.
I know what I want to be, and they stay in that career path, or maybe they even stay in that company per se. But a five will mix things up because what makes them who they are is the accumulation of their experiences, and they need to have multiple jobs usually to find out who they are in different fields even. They don't just stay in one field normally, they'll get bored.
Oh, yeah. We were talking a little bit earlier before we went on that July 4th, 1776 is a number 5, whatever that's
July.
worth.
Oh yeah, yeah. July 4th, 19. Wait,
1776,
July
the Constitution.
1776. Okay. For
Yeah.
2 seconds, I'm like, oh, 1976. I'm like, is that a new date? No, but I didn't hear the 1776 part. Yeah, that's the inception of the United States. You could kind of say that there was another date for the inception of the United States because there was a document, a separate document by our founding fathers, and I don't know the date off my head. I don't, but that's when they officially said we're going to make the United States a country. They had a lot of signatures on it. Um, so the United States actually could not have the birth date of July 4th, but it's identified as being July 4th. So the identity of the United States is based upon that birth date. And so that's a life path 5. And so the United States itself, since it is a 5, it is considered to be, the melting pot, the variety of people coming together. It's all about change, innovation. It moves at a quicker pace with that, with other countries, because they can get things off the ground, and they have so many different people from different backgrounds and perspectives coming together, right? Like people all around the world come to the United States, whether originally from immigration or because they want to, and then there's opportunity here. Like, anything can happen. That's the beauty of 5, the variety. Anything can happen here. And then also, it's also why sometimes people consider United States to be a little bit unpredictable, or they don't take them seriously sometimes. Because when you have a 5 vibration, it's kind of like, I can't figure you out. You do too much. You don't really know
Yeah.
your place. You do too much. And
Yeah.
sometimes people don't respect that 5 vibration because of that, because they considered the 5 vibration to be a little too scattered or
Oh,
chaotic.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Whew.
Absolutely.
Now
Let's
we have
continue.
another question here. Can you read that? It says,
Yeah,
Does a near-death experience change your birth number because most people think of it as a second birthday?
that is so cool. What a great question.
These people, I'm telling you, they're very creative thinkers here in this group.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love questions like this. I've been trying to sit with myself on kind of that question. Not exactly that question per se, but for instance, you can remember how I said your core 6 with Pythagorean numerology, at least,
Yeah.
defines really kind of who you are, and then the rest plays off of that. Well, you can always change your name. That's 1/2 of your 6. Your name is 3 of your 6. You can always change your name by, getting married or changing your name, right? Or going by a different nickname and saying, I like to be called this now, and this is how I identify with. So you can change your vibrations that way, but it's up for debate if you can change your vibrations from how you came into the world. Okay?
Ah,
Because it's kind of like an astrology. You've been just given that stamp. You know,
mhm.
the planets were in alignment when you came into Earth. Like Mars was hanging like this, the sun was hanging like this. That's why you have influence of this planet. That's why you have influence of that planet. And so it's like that's connected not to your soul, that's connected to your body, how it formed and entered the world. It was aligned with certain elements, it was aligned with certain vibrations. You entered the world with this code, right? So your body
Mm,
holds this code. So I would say, with what's known in numerology right now, if you kind of have a second birthday, that would possibly influence your personality. That is up for debate, but you would still be connected to when you really came into the world. Though I'm always researching that, I do think that is possibly up for debate. I do. I do.
yeah.
I've heard a story once. I don't know how true it is. Like, I have to have verification to really do it justice, right? I'm not going to just go
Uh-huh.
off stories, but there was this story I heard from someone. It was actually my hairdresser, and she's like, oh, we came into the hospital, my family when I was born, and I was born on a certain date, and I was given a birth certificate of, me being born on this certain date. And my mom has always told me when she looked at the birth date, she realized they put down the birth date wrong on the certificate, that I actually came in on this date, not that date. And she's contested it all these years. And so the hairdresser was even saying to me, I'm not sure if my mom is making it up. I'm not sure if my mom like remembers it right, or maybe my mom is right. I have no idea. So what is my true numerology? And I would be like, I would have to do research to kind of really know what's going on, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
because, right, they could have a completely different perceived identity
Uh-huh,
than maybe who they truly are. There's that question. But I
uh-huh,
asked her, I'm like, okay, give me both dates. And her one personality really did favor one way or over the other, even though she did have certain kind of inclinations to
uh-huh.
be one way, she was much more likely the other one. And that was
Oh,
the date that apparently the hospital got wrong. So then the question is, are
yeah,
we really just fixed, or is it just like our name, where we can actually change the code within our bodies? I mean, we could go into epigenetics with that one, right? Like we're not, the whole nature versus nurture. Epigenetics challenges that and combats that, and it's saying like our bodies, our gene expressions are due to our environment and our choices, right? So it's like that's a
yeah.
whole debate within itself.
Wow.
So
Yes, okay.
I hope that helps, Warrior Girl, because that's something that is very fixed in numerology. But in the future, we might learn more about that more, and I'm still meditating and contemplating and learning about that.
Yeah. Aw, thank you, Kelly. So, the other Kelly's asking, so is our married name versus the name we were born with a vibrant, of course, right? The vibratory
Oh
change.
yeah. Oh yeah. When you change your name, you change the way you go out into the world and say, "Hi, I'm so and so." Like for instance, if I said, "Hi, I'm Kel," right? Call me Kel. I take on a new vibration, and the words that are coming out of my mouth and how you perceive me, know me, and take me in is different, because I'm saying, "Hi, I'm Kel," versus, "Hi, I'm Kelly." It sounds different, and also it holds a different vibrational charge as well. And so your chart will change from how you change your name. And it's very influential once you legally change your name, or you are bound to the fact that, hey, I see myself as this. I only want you calling me this. If you go by a lot of nicknames, sometimes you can have a split personality a little bit. You will have major numbers, but you kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll be split.
it makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, but if you change your name, your chart changes. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So there's people who get
Yeah.
into marriages that they change their name, and they're like, I don't recognize the person. It was like 2 years into the marriage, they weren't the same person. Or why are you so different? Or the way they communicate becomes different because they take on new numbers, and they could have been harmonious before they got married and after they got married. It's a different ball game. It's actually quite like head scratching to think that way, but it's very true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
Interesting. I just want to say hi to Priscilla and hi to Sharon at Rhubarb Tarot. Um, yeah.
I
Okay.
will.
Would you mind? Go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to say, I just want to highlight something. So I know certain people, like whether come across friends or I've read people's charts, right? When they've come to me as a client, um, if they, let's say, have a nickname, or they change, like let's say like John versus Jonathan, right? Or they have
Yeah.
some entirely different nickname, and they're like, "Oh, only my family calls me John." And my friends call me Jonathan, right? It's interesting because the more you kind of learn about their life, they feel like their family doesn't understand them, or their friends don't understand them. It's almost like a part of them is split and not congruent. If they really go by that with such an extreme, like, oh, they only call me this here and they only call me that there. There is some type of identity issues the more they really do split in the world how they use their name. So it's and people who come from backgrounds with different last names. Let's say mom got remarried, so they had to change their name, or whatever happened within their life. There is highlights of identity crisis within the child at certain points within their life. Whether they received a name change when they're really young, it was almost like they weren't quite sure who they were after that, or they had difficulty. That's something that really comes into psychology, with
Uh-huh.
how people change their identity and how they identify.
It's amazing, right? I mean, I even think of, okay, what about, let's just say a policeman next door. He's a dad, in his house, but as soon as he puts his policeman hat, it's kind of like that. He turns into a policeman, you know.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you put on a different hat, a different vibration, a different name, it's all a vibration, right?
it's true. It's
Awesome.
true.
Amazing.
That's why
Amazing.
we have to be so conscious, because there's so many different parts of ourselves that are being stimulated and shared and enacted when we are out in the world with other people. We have to know ourselves and what energy we are bringing to the table and what we want. And because it's just like it's this fluctuating formula, like on a daily basis. And so it makes sense why some people feel so lost,
Yeah.
or if they don't know
Amazing.
themselves, they're swept up by the world, right?
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple questions here. One is, I am, I can't even read it now. It's so small for me on my eyes, but it
No, it's
says,
okay.
I'm a 22 equals 4. What does that mean? This is by
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Sure. So, Elizabeth, that would be your life path number, possibly. The one thing I always ask people is just to make sure you're doing your calculations right, because if you're off by one number, what I'm telling you would be completely off, right?
Uh-huh.
So your life path number is taking your month that you're born on, your day that you're born on, and the year that you were born on, and adding them all up together. And so if you're saying that's a 22, you reduce that to 4. Now, it's most people aren't life path 22s. It's actually a little bit more difficult to get that number with all the numbers added up, but it is possible. So if she is a life path 22, and she's a 4, it would indicate that throughout her life, she needs planning and structure, and she needs like a more just deliberate approach than most. And she will always be stimulated by learning, and she will be kind of more likely one to want further learning, whether it's always taking courses or picking up a book, or learning about this or learning about that, and she'll be one to share. Um, and 4 is a natural teacher. So you have to be sharing the information that you have. And if you're not out there sharing, you can get kind of in your head. And so the life path 4 is, how can I be a structured and deliberate person and give away my knowledge at the same time?
Mhm.
When there's the 22 involved, the reason why I'm talking about give away your knowledge and being a teacher kind of more so is that 22 is a responsibility. The 22 is a master builder. So when someone's a master builder, they need to build, right? So it's like 22s create brick and mortars, or they create communities. They create, some type of um, thing bigger than themselves. And they say, I have to teach this. I have to share this with people. I have to bring people to me. I'm responsible for people knowing a better way. So anytime you have that 22, you need to honestly be leading a community, to bring people together. And you might feel that weighted responsibility of, I wish I could be doing more, I feel like I could be doing more in my life. um, People with those vibrations are usually very hard on themselves. So it's just like, whatever that you're doing, try to find more autonomy where you can lead. And if you don't have structure within your life, that's going to bring you a lot of peace. Time management and going at a slower pace than most, that's fine, because you need to be feeling strong within yourself. And you have to pay attention to your schedule to really establish that.
Nice. Thank you. That's beautiful. Okay, I just have one person here. They're going to change their name after hearing this.
You can. You really can. You really can. I mean, a lot of people in the entertainment industry, like they change their name and they're kind of like, I'd rather be this, right? Or this sounds better, and it's all different reasons, but it's kind of more and more common, I think, to hear about people changing their names, like that aren't even in the industry. I know people who literally have done that. Like, I didn't identify with that name anymore, or I didn't want my ex-husband's name. I wanted, um, I didn't want my family's name because I didn't like the past with my family. I hear about it quite a bit.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. Um, Kelly, they're asking, can you give a brief description? Maybe this is all we have time for today, but to give a brief description. You've already done some of the life path numbers of 1 through 9.
Okay, yeah, sure. So like, I'm just gonna go over kind of what they basically mean, right? So like 1 is the number of independence and innovation. 2, it's about mediation, sensitivity with others. 3, communication, creativity. 4, practicality, structure. 5, freedom and variety. 6, service, being family orientated or group orientated, protection. 7, introspection, intellect. 8, delegation, materialism. Um, it's about really grounding energy and creating in physical form, being abundant. 9, humanitarianism and higher forms of creativity. Again, I could actually give you additional definitions, but that's what just comes off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they all play off on
Beautiful.
something different.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's wonderful. Let's just see here.
Someone give me their birth date. Let's do like one quick final read too.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone slap down their birth date. And if you're from the UK by chance, please write out your month, because UK actually flips their month and their day. And if you do that, you're going to get a different reading and I won't be accurate. So if you're from the UK, write down April, the word April, not the number 4.
Okay. I'm waiting for somebody to write a birthday here. Let me see here. Wait.
I'm gonna
Okay,
take,
we've got a couple.
yeah,
Here's Marilyn.
let's do Mary Ellen. Okay.
Okay. So tell us how you're adding. I'll talk. I mean, I think I
Sure.
know. You add up each number, like 1 plus 1 plus, I
So
think
she's
1
a
plus,
she's a hold on a second. 5. Yeah.
you're so
Yeah,
sweet
so
with
I'm
me.
adding up all the numbers. So what I'm doing is anytime I have someone's birthday, I do their personal day number, their attitude number, and their life path number. So I'm taking 3 of her 6. So her personal day is a 3. So that lets me know with Mary Ellen that people are more likely to come up to Mary Ellen. Like the 3 is a very naturally social number. It's a very lighthearted number. So people feel very comfortable around 3s because the first initial impression is, oh, that person wants to have a nice time. Oh, that person just wants to have fun. Oh, that person is very warm and open, right? Very open, lighthearted communication. That's the best type of feeling if you don't know somebody. If you're going to pick someone in the room, who would be open to me asking a question or to me to say hi? It would be the 3 on perceived vibration. So when she's in a social situation, like at a party or meeting people for the first time, people are very comfortable with approaching Mary Ellen. She has no problem meeting people because of that. Also, if you're in something like a grocery store, and sometimes someone's like, I don't know where the cereal is, can I have some help? Or a random question, like she'll notice that people just will ask her, like for help, right? Because she's very approachable, she's very positive. So we have different, your personal day numbers are how people kind of perceive you. It's not your overall chart. It's not even necessarily your personality at all. It's just how people kind of get a first hit on you. And so 3s have that advantage. People will be very open to them. So she's a 5. Her attitude is a 5. So this means that we got to keep Mary Ellen stimulated. We got to keep Mary Ellen busy because she gets bored easily. She likes to go, 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 do, do, do. And if things are too slow, she's like, I got to get up and do something. So whether it's in the house, she's like organizing, she's fixing things, or whether she's getting outside of her house because she needs to just have like a breather, she's always on the move, always on the go. And people who are attitude fives love, love, love to travel. So that's a passion. When we go into her life path, so she is a life path 1, and she is true to her own tune. She goes to the beat of her own drum. If she wants to do something, she does it. It doesn't matter if her friends support her or even her family supports her. She's out and about, does it her way. When someone is a life path 1, ultimately what they have to do is like stick up for others and stick up for themselves. They're very natural at sticking up for themselves. They just have to impart that onto other people. And so I know just like from her numbers that she's a bit of a firecracker. Okay. Like she doesn't let people push her around, and she does the things that she wants to do. And the number one thing is with Mary Ellen is kind of just sometimes just to slow down and to take care of herself. Because she has such busy energy. She has such busy
Oh,
energy. And I really think like to really enact her creativity, that gives her natural warmth and healing. And that's like kind of the two that I'm putting together kind of this year. Slow down, do more creative projects. If that's inside the house, that's okay. You need to like really let that part of you like out and nourish that part of you. The last thing I'll say is she's in a cycle of 2. And so the reason I'm saying like nourish that part of you, creativity is healing, because this year is not the easiest year because you have to be really aware of your emotions. You have to be really aware of kind of how you're truly feeling on things, and you have to take time to be honest with yourself. And so that does take some of implementing less of the go, 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 do, 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 not distracting yourself. You have to spend more time with yourself. And yeah, that means you're going to have to flip your lifestyle a little bit because of that, and be okay with having more time with yourself. Because when we have that 2 year, we have to heal things from our past. We have to learn more about why we do the things that we do and why other people have done certain things to us, and make peace with that and be okay with that. And it lines up a lot of things for us where we have that deeper sense of peace that we feel maybe has been grating against us over the years. So I'm going to give her that.
wow, beautiful. I would love to know, Mary Ellen, if that resonates with you. That would be wonderful to know. Thank you, Kelly. That was really in depth.
Oh,
Without, it's great.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like it's a snippet of someone's life, It's a snippet of where they are at and where they're going, and sometimes I just kind of feel like, oh, where they are right now, they're addressing like kind of that next hurdle. They're addressing that next like, this has been hard, but yeah, I do have to do the work and I am conscious of it.
Uh-huh. Yes. I have one more question. That several people have asked, when you do your name, do you add in the middle name?
Yes, but not for the core 6. So,
Okay.
yeah, so there's additional calculations where absolutely you would take somebody's middle name. Um, that there's different thoughts of philosophy on that. So a lot of people use the middle name. Within the system that I use, I only use the middle name to find the destiny and maturity number. And so that's different from the core 6. Um, so that highlights the energy that they came into the world being, and it's attached where their life is going, and it lets me know more about their life path. So it gives like a richer life path reading, for instance. But it's ultimately you take the person's numbers and their birthday in connection with who they identify in the now, because
Uh-huh.
the now and the
Okay.
present is so important. It's not who you were and how people named you. It's how you say, yes, this is who I am now. And that's how you take where they're going and understanding where, who they are.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I do not use the middle name except
Okay.
for more information on who they are. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, it's a little more complicated than I can put it all together right now, of course, but I understand what you're saying.
I'll summarize. I do not use the middle name for the main chart. I use the
Uh-huh.
middle name for other things to help me understand their main chart. I hope that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Really wonderful. And Mary Ellen was saying that, yeah, yes, and she can understand about the emotional time for this year. Yes, that's wonderful. So
Thank you,
I
Mary
just,
Ellen.
yeah, I just want
And
to
Monday.
say thank you for being here because I know our time is up. And so Kelly, I know I would love to do this again, maybe, down the road or, in a month or two or whatever, whenever you're willing to come back. Because I bet you more people would like to learn a little more, if you know, have the time in your busy
I'd be
schedule.
honored. Are you kidding me? Yes. And you're going to be on my show soon. We get to
Next
play
week.
some more.
Next
Yeah.
week. I'm
Next
on your
week
show.
on the 30th. She'll
Yes.
be on. So everyone come catch her.
Yeah. On
And
Psychic
everyone
Hour, the Psychic
come.
Hour that you host
The
on
psychic on the
Wednesdays.
psychic hour. But I would love to come back again. Are you kidding me? Like I think
Okay.
you're wonderful and amazing. And thank you so much for having me here with you.
Oh, thank you. No, everybody's been so wonderful here. So thank you. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's come today. Gina and False Teeth Tarot and Warrior Girl and Kelly and Holly and Sharon and Ron, I know, and the other Sharon and Brenda, Vivian, Colleen. Hi, Colleen. Sharon Sipe, thank you for being a moderator. Thank you, Ron, for being a moderator. Priscilla, false. Oh, I already said that. Anyway, I know I may have missed people, and I'm sorry if I have. But you guys, thank you for being here. And Juno, thank you. Juno, by the way, is a wonderful creative person. And I just want to say, you guys, this is one of her creations, this shawl.
Wow.
Yes. So just to let
Thank
you
you
know.
for
So
creating it.
thank you for Juno. I know. Okay, you guys. So thank you so much. Many blessings. Be well, you guys. Stay in the light and remember to try to minimize the volume. Oh, what's going on? To minimize the volume of what we're seeing in the world. To just try to just have a minimal amount so we can stay in the light as much as possible. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. And I'm just sending love to everybody. Thank you, you guys. Bye-bye.